commodities, whether it's gold or cotton or oil, maybe all of the above, because I'm worried about the currency, I'm worried about the economy, I'm worried about the world.
So you're saying that there's a possibility, or you say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that this rally, which many are calling it a sucker rally or a bear war rally, could get up and then fall even further than it did before?
When you say possibility, yes, I can. Possibility opens up anything, because anything is possible, as we've learned throughout history. Yes, is there a probability? There's even a probability, as far as I'm concerned. It's probably going to happen that way. But again, I'm not smart enough, Patrick, to know whether it's going to end in May or June or even September. Mm-hmm. But I am convinced it's going to end, and that there are going to be good times to sell coming up. And if one wants to buy, there are going to be many better times to buy over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Even if one had to take the tax hit to pull these things out of their retirement funds, or maybe they can be self-directed into more safer things without tax consequences.
Well, if you have it in a retirement fund, you don't have to pay taxes when you sell it. You do have to start paying taxes when you take it out. Mm-hmm. But and you can take it. The taxes are not, especially if you're of retirement age, the taxes are not so high, because you don't have to pay any penalties if you're over retirement age.
Here's an email from Frank. He wants to know, do you have a single favorite commodity or class of commodities? Frank.
Yes, Frank. Right now, my favorite would be agriculture. I bought all of them recently, metals, energy, and agriculture. But my favorite now would be agriculture, because, as I said, that's where things, on a price basis anyway, are still terribly, terribly depressed on a historic basis, and that's where I think the best opportunities are. Which means you probably should buy something else, mines, or metals, or energy. But that's where I'm putting more of my money than I am in other commodities.
And an email from Mike. He wants to know your perspective on fuel alcohol business. The fuel alcohol business.
Well, ethanol, I guess, is what he means. It's certainly. It's got a great future, because politicians love it, and they think it will solve many of our problems. Unfortunately, the studies show that ethanol causes as many problems as it solves. The amount of energy produced by a gallon of ethanol is about the same as the amount of energy it takes to produce it. So ethanol is not going to solve our problems, but that does not mean it does not have a great future, because politicians love it so much. They can reward their friends, the farmers. They can reward, anybody who builds an ethanol plant, and they can say, well, see, we're buying our energy from American farmers instead of EU foreigners. It's got a great future. Is it good for the world? No, it's not good for the world, but that doesn't matter. Politicians do a lot of things that are not good for the world.
And an email from Peter wants to know, do you think we'll see $150 oil again?
Oh yes. I don't have much doubt about that.
Really?
I don't doubt if it'll happen this year, but certainly, no, Patrick. The known reserves of oil are in decline, in rapid decline. The studies all show that forget the studies. The facts are we haven't discovered a gigantic oil field, an elephant, in over 40 years. All the known huge elephant fields are in decline now, and some of them are declining at a rapid rate. Alaska's oil is in decline. Mexico's oil is in decline. These are simple facts. And yes, unless something happens very dramatically, very quickly, you're going to see certainly over $150 oil. Probably not this year, maybe not even for 5 or 10 years, but it's going to happen.
How is India financing their growth? And what do you? I know that you're a bit skeptical about investing over there. Are they doing it? Do they have the reserves and they're building with their own money, or are they borrowing?
Well, no, they have built up foreign currency reserves, partly because it's in such a closed economy. They're not very open to outside investors or outside industry, unfortunately. They do have large foreign currency reserves, which they're now spending because, they're in trouble. I'm a great fan of India as a country and of Indians as people. It's the single best country in the world to visit. If you could only visit one country as a tourist, Patrick, in your life, for some reason, I would say you should go to India. There's nothing like it.
Really?
As a place to, they've got a breadth of man-made and natural sites like no country in the world. They've got religions and foods and languages. It's just mind-boggling, the country. It's a constant sensory feast. to travel around India. Having said that, I wouldn't want to invest there, but it is the single best country in the world. If you can only visit one country for some reason for the rest of your life, make sure it's India.
Well, in 99, you and your wife visited 116 countries. What a trip that must have been. You did it where you were in a Mercedes and you just drove around the world?
Well, yes, I've got a certain amount of madness in my system, Patrick. I drove around the world on a motorcycle once. I spent 2 years doing that, and then that wasn't enough for me, so my wife, Paige, and I spent 3 years. We made a special customized Mercedes. For many reasons we used a Mercedes, and we set off for 3 years around the world, and it was, there's a study recently showed that the number one dream which people have, not everybody's number one dream, but the one that comes out on top is to chuck it all, get in the car, and drive around the world. Well, I did it. I'm dumb enough to do it, and fortunately, lucky enough to have survived. And
then you all had your children when you returned.
That's exactly what we did. I don't know if it's going to make me a better father, but certainly I'm older, and it certainly taught me a lot about the world, which I can now teach them. If I'd had a child when I was 20 or even 30, it would not have been good for the mother or the children or for me.
So this is your first time as a dad?
Oh, yeah. That's why I've written this book, A Gift to My Children, because I want to, make sure these children... I if I were 20, I wouldn't have much to teach them. But since I'm older, I hope I've got a lot to teach them, and not just about, but about life. Things I have learned, mistakes I have made, things I've learned.
Did you think you knew what you were doing, Jim Rogers, when you're 20 and 30 and 35?
Of course. Patrick, when I was 20, I was the smartest 20-year-old in the history of the world. But you know what? I was still 20. I was still only 20, and I didn't know anything about myself or the world or anything else. And I can look back on my life, and no matter how smart I thought I was, I wasn't. I wasn't very smart, and I learned the hard way how I wasn't so smart.
Well, Mr. Rogers, it's an honor to have you on the show, and I appreciate you spending an hour out of your Friday morning in Singapore. And now you can go on about your day, maybe make some money today, and... folks, check out Jim Rogers' book. It's called A Gift to My Children. A Gift to My Children, available in bookstores, Amazon, anywhere you buy books. Also, you have a website called JimRogers.com. And we'll be keeping an eye on you, sir. You behave. If we ever got to Singapore, we'll come visit us. I mean, you've got me. You should work for the tourist industry in Singapore. You've got me all excited about wanting to visit there now.
Well, it's on the equator, so the sun, you don't ever have to shovel snow here. The sun's always out.
Really? Nice weather.
Yeah, very good weather. Thank you, Patrick.
Been a pleasure, sir. Thank you. Jim Rogers. Very interesting, man, huh? Wow. Fun stuff. Singapore. I didn't even know from Singapore, right? I mean, who would know from Singapore? Somebody sent an email. Let's see if I get this right here. Just to let you get your bearings here, says an email. Singapore is south of Thailand and Vietnam and is situated among the Indonesian islands. Wikipedia says Singapore is an island city-state, a microstate, and is the smallest nation in Southeast Asia. Singapore is south of China, but quite a ways away. I think Jim Rogers said, he said 2 or 3 hours. No pollution, though, because it's an island and the wind blows. We should go visit Singapore now. That would be fun. Learn Mandarin, right? Eat a little horseshoe wo mein pork and whatever they eat there. And do some farming, man. 4 million people there, right? I'd probably find just the perfect wife there, right? I haven't been able to find her yet in Dripping Springs. I keep walking the street, and it's like, wow. It's tough to find a gal that wants to be a farmer, because that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be like Jim Rogers, be a farmer. Well, folks, it was a blast being with you. We're going to have open phones tomorrow for an hour. I'm telling you, I'm still working on this health thing. I don't know what it is, boy. I still feel some days like I've been hit by a truck with all the work I had done a month ago on my teeth and mouth and all that, but it's just the way it is. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. But I'm doing all right. I won't whine much tomorrow. Just be here tomorrow, 7 o'clock, or be square. This email or this website or this podcast of Jim Rogers will be on the website tomorrow, so pass it along to everybody. I love you all very much. Thanks for being here. This is Patrick Timpone. Take care.